Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about Black Clover episode 89, and this was a really weird episode, at least for me. It revolves around characters that we don't really see a lot, at least by themselves, so having it be almost entirely about them was really just a very odd scenario to get through. So obviously the Royal Knights are off attacking the Eye of the Midnight Sun's hidden base, and so Ast is gone, and Luck is gone, and Noelle's gone, and I guess Zora was gone. Not that he really hangs out with the Black Bulls to begin with, but they're all gone off on this thing, and it's just basically like the rest of the Black Bulls at their hideout. However, most of them leave too. Yami is going off to talk to Vengeance to get basically an apology for what happened with Finral and Longris. Vanessa is going to check up on Finral. Charmy went off to collect, like, I think she said something about finding, like, some, like, food or something like that. She's got her ingredients. So she's off on her little adventure. Magna is motivated now that he was not picked for the Royal Knights. He's going to go train. And we're basically left with Gauche, Gray, and Gordon. Three people who, honestly, like, the scenario that they have them, like, there's a little bit of time where they're just, like, sitting in the main common area. Because, obviously, where else are they going to go? But, like, it kind of went down the way I pictured it. They are all kind of awkward in their own right. So, having all three of them in one spot, it's clear to see that they wouldn't really get along very well. Not that they don't really want to get along. Gordon's super friendly, but he's a bit of an oddball, so it's like, they just didn't quite mesh with each other. But yeah, this whole scenario with the three of them, first of all, I don't know why it crossed my mind as the first thing that crossed my mind when they were left there. They all have G starting their name. You got Gauche, you got Gordon, and you have Gray. I don't know. It's just the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know. I will say, though, that, like, Gray is kind of starting to annoy me a bit. I get why she's like, oh, she's frantic, she's, like, nervous about stuff and whatever, and she's, like, shy and whatever, but, like, sometimes enough is enough. Same with Gordon. I mean, they all have their own quirks and whatever, but, like, I guess just having them all in one place, it starts getting glaring without having all the other characters interacting with them. But at the same time, the way the episode goes, it definitely seems like maybe that was the point, and maybe you see a deeper part of them. Which is actually a really interesting aspect of this episode, because again, it's three characters that we don't really get a ton of time by themselves. So you kind of get a little bit more in-depth, or somewhat in-depth, look at how they are. In any event, during their kind of awkward downtime, they end up getting attacked by the Eye of the Midnight Sun. So clearly, Licht knew what was going to happen. Like, the Royal Knights are heading towards him. So he sent some people to go do some stuff. So that they're not all in one place. So I memorized no names, except for maybe Rades, I guess. Rades, who is the zombie guy who helped attack the capital. You have Slime Girl, who was involved with the whole, like, Snow Village whole thing, where, like, the like, Third Eye people showed up along with Lick, and there was a whole thing with that. And then you have the teleportation, or I guess just transportation guy, who is also involved with the attack on the capital. So you have those three kind of showing up, and they're here for something. We don't know exactly what, but apparently they're looking for something, and they're like, oh, don't worry. If you don't know what it is, it's none of your business anyways. Despite it being in the Black Bulls' whole hideout, I guess. And once again, this whole episode was kind of a weird one because it's, again, three characters you never really get to see fight with each other. Three characters you don't really see a lot by themselves. And now they're getting into this big battle, and it was a lot more exciting than I thought it was going to be. We even get some new spells shown off, and it's really, really kind of cool. So Gray obviously has some, like, transformation magic, and she can turn herself into stuff and whatever, but now she apparently has a new spell that can transform other people's magic into something else, or at least, like, maybe, like, just substances or something like that, because when they're fighting, the slime lady, she summons her giant, like, slime salamander or whatever. Ghosh's magic does not work on this. We know that from their prior encounter, and it doesn't work because it just gets all redirected and whatever. However, Gray ends up transforming her like slime into like more of a crystal solid figure, and that allowed Ghosh to basically just shatter it, which I really like them working together. The one thing I will say about all of their magic is that their magic is really, really cool, and that all three of these characters are basically held back by their personalities. Ghosh has his mirror magic, and that's super cool, but he's kind of a dickhead and a weird pervert. Gray is really, really frantic and shy, but she's got this awesome transformation magic, and on top of that, she can now turn other things into other things and other things. And finally, Gordon, who is a low talker, or a quiet person, and he's super friendly, but he's a bit creepy due to just how he is, his mannerisms and whatnot. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, before they got attacked, I can't believe I almost forgot this. So, before they got attacked, they were talking about, like, Ghosh is making his creepy, like, little sister doll thing, and that's weird enough. However, Gordon then opens up his, like, Black Bull's robe and reveals that he's got a bunch of, like, voodoo dolls of all of the Black Bulls, and it's meant to be, like, a term of endearment. Like, he's like, oh, he likes them, because it reminds him of all of his friends, and he's just really friendly with them. However, it's really, really weird. Getting back to the battle, though, Gordon ends up using some, like, hex poison magic on one of the zombies, and that's a really interesting ability. I don't know if we have ever seen him use his magic specifically prior to this. He's so infrequently in the show as, like, a main person, so it's weird whenever he does use something or does something up front in the camera. But he's got some hex magic, which is really interesting, because I feel like we usually just focus on, like, kind of more direct magic. Like, Yami uses dark magic, but he uses it in such, like, an upfront, attack-oriented way that it's, like, almost more like a flame element or a water element or whatever, the way he uses it anyways. So, seeing a person use more, I guess it's more supportive in a sense. Using, like, hex magic, which is a bit more, like, status element kind of thing, is really interesting. And that's taking into account that it's a Black Bull member, and they're all kind of a bit more, like, hard-headed, and they all jump in right away. So it's really cool to see a character use something that's not necessarily attack-oriented and more as defensive in a sense. All of this is kind of null and void, though, because they end up getting overpowered by the Eye of the Midnight Sun. So Ghosh, Gray, and Gordon all get kind of knocked down on the ground. However, we get little flashbacks. I hesitate to say flashback because it was more like just like a very brief thing. But for both Gordon and Gray, where they're like, they kind of like remember getting inducted into the Black Bulls and like getting chosen by Yami, and how like, oh, well, they're both shy and they both kind of like are a little awkward, but at the end of the day they have the Black Bulls, which are basically their new families, so that's really cool for them, and that kind of inspires them to get back up, and they both talk sternly and loudly for once in their lives, especially Gordon. I've never heard him talk this loud ever in the entire series, which is probably the point, but he finally speaks up, and they're both like, we're gonna stand our ground, we're gonna fight no matter what, we're not going down. And just as that's happening, the Black Bull's hideout starts reconfiguring itself again. An alarm goes off. We already knew that it changes daily or whatever, like weekly or whatever. Like, it changes around and kind of restructures itself, presumably for defensive purposes, to keep people from finding certain things, and this is part of the reason why it's doing it now. So it's starting to kind of restructure, knocking Eye of the Midnight Sun zombies out. I'm not sure whether it kicks the one transportation dude out, but he definitely does take notice that something's going on. And suddenly a door opens up and we get this new character. I say new, but really we've seen him in the opening for a while now, but we just don't know anything about him. He's got this long, or I assume it's a he, it might be a girl, but they've got this long flowing silver hair, and they've got a grimoire, so clearly they are a magic wielder themselves. I don't think that they're with the Eye of the Midnight Sun. But I don't know. Based on the next time, it seems like maybe they're part of the Black Bull squad, but they're just kind of like, I guess, a Zora situation where maybe they're not around a lot, or they just don't care about hanging out with people. I don't know. Either way, I'm excited to see where this goes, because not only one are we really getting to see characters that don't really get a lot of screen time on their own do some really cool stuff, but also now we have this new character that I think will kind of like throw a little bit of a weird stone into the pond that is awkwardness between Ghost, Gordon, and Gray. So we'll see how things go. I have no doubt that they'll get out of this alive. But one thing I will say is I wonder if this new person is the thing that the Eye of the Midnight Sun is looking for, or is it a physical object that they're looking for? I could see this new person being that thing that they came for, and then they end up fighting off and whatever, but either way, I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a really interesting one, despite all the weird awkwardness going on between the three of them, which, again, is probably the point. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought down below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. That way you'll see all the notifications when I upload. I will see you guys in another video. So long!